Well, good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to the Campus County Connection webinar series. This is the first in our series for the fall and spring. I'm Celeste Carmichael, Program Development and Accountability Specialist with Extension Administration, and I'm really excited here to have you here and to be focused on sowing diverse seeds for garden program success. So some of you may have gotten my late afternoon email that had sowing, S-E-W-I-N-G. I got your attention if you were one of those folks that wrote to me and shared that I was not thinking of the right sowing. It was a long day yesterday after a long weekend, but we're very glad that you're here, and like I said, glad that got your attention. I think this is going to be a great webinar. This is the first in our series this year, Campus County Connection webinar series. There was always a lot of discussion about what this is all about. You know, this is not the only way that we hope that you will connect with between campus and counties, but it is a way, oftentimes, to just expose you to some of the things that are happening without traveling. So it's just an introduction. Oftentimes I consider it a little bit like an NPR show. You know, you're listening, you may be expanding your knowledge about what somebody is doing, and be ready to ask some questions next time. In this case, you see Fiona Doherty or Brewer or Marcia Eames-Sheavly, because they're our guests today, and I'm excited to have you guys. So Fiona, with that, I am going to pass it on to you. I'm going to open up your slides, so give me a second for that. And welcome, folks.
Thank you, Celeste. We feel very special to be the first of the series this fall. I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, we are the Cornell Garden-Based Learning Program. Our mission is to provide educators with inspiring research-based gardening resources and professional development to support engaging, empowering, and relevant learning experiences for children, youth, adults, and communities. It's a mouthful. But yeah, we are really happy to be here today and to talk a little bit about our upcoming projects this year. We have a lot of exciting things going on. To share some of the survey results that we sent out a survey a few weeks ago, and to also talk about a few of our favorite activities. So maybe you will be inspired to try these activities in your own programs. Marcia and Lori are also here with me. Do you have anything you want to add before we move forward?
It's really good to be here. Nice to participate today. And thank you to Fiona, who's leading the charge here this morning.
Absolutely.
Yep, and welcome everybody. I'm Lori Brewer, and I look forward to interacting with you.
Please feel free to ask questions at any time. I think you can raise your hand, and we are happy to have a very interactive webinar. I know that's more exciting for everyone.
And also use the chat. So there'll be a couple of pauses during the webinar series to, to ask some questions, but feel free to ask questions anytime, and I will gladly interrupt what's happening here and bring your questions to the attention of everybody. It's much more interesting when we have a little bit of dialogue back and forth. So
definitely.
All right. So go ahead, try again.
There we go. All right, first I'd like to talk a little bit about a survey that I sent out to cooperative extension educators and master gardener volunteers, I'd say about midsummer. I'll start by giving a little bit of background about the survey. We really had an amazing number of responses and a great representation of counties throughout the state. I was blown away and really happy by the number of people who participated. We had 185 people complete the survey, and that was with representation from about 45 counties in New York State. Whoa. The most represented program area was horticulture, followed by youth development and then nutrition. Other represented areas were gardening, agriculture, natural resources, and family and life skills. So we really had a good diverse group who sent in their feedback. We asked people how they spent their time, and the top 3 rankings were program delivery, developing programs, and reporting. It's really interesting to know. And over half of the respondents reported that they were involved with engaging youth with gardening programs. We found that to be a very powerful finding and a very exciting finding. Most gardening programs reached K through 12 classroom students and families, and also children and youth at community workshops. All right. Most respondents reported that their preferred forms of professional development were attending a workshop in their community, followed by learning from a colleague, followed by attending a workshop on campus. That's really valuable for us to know. And most individuals also noted that their preferred motivation was getting a certificate of completion, and that's also great for us to know.
It's good for me to know too. So just kind of curious, did anything else come up on the list of preferred forms of professional development?
A few people noted badges, but definitely not as many as the certificates of completion. And then a lot of people said that they didn't really need any form of recognition, which I found interesting. They just like doing the work.
Excellent.
Yeah. Many people were not aware of a lot of our resources. I found this portion to be particularly interesting, and hopefully we can share these resources today during this webinar. So people were unaware of different lesson and project plans, program planning, some of the curricula that we offer. We have a bounty of research that supports this type of work. A lot of people didn't know about the regional workshops that we offer, and we also have a Facebook page that we post weekly. Some other themes from the survey, people were really looking for activities that are unique and hands-on. We have a lot of those up our sleeves. And they also noted that they need resources for program planning, implementation, and evaluation. Also, most individuals felt that they had the tools to support diverse audiences within their communities. 80% of people noted that, and that's powerful finding. So going forward, I love this picture. They look like a little brain. So we felt that the findings from this survey were incredibly valuable in helping us direct our resources and programs to fit educator and master gardener volunteer needs. Our curriculum is easily adaptable to any school garden setting, so we found that to be a good match, and that a lot of the garden programs were in school gardens. And we also offer a variety of program development and delivery tools, a perfect fit for those who are spending most of their time developing and delivering programs. We also have an evaluation toolkit for those who need a little extra help reporting. As I mentioned earlier, we do offer regional workshops, so that's a great fit for people who enjoy learning from colleagues and who enjoy workshops in their communities. And we do offer certificates of completion for those who attend workshops with our program. So we hope that this webinar will provide additional information about our work and Cornell garden-based learning, and that we can provide you with the resources that you need to do good work in your communities. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Lori Brewer, who will talk a little bit about our newly launched and very exciting website.
All right, so sorry. So I think I need to pass the ball over and to you.
And how do I show the website? You have to do share screen.
Yes, so you're going to go to share up top, and then applications, and then Internet Explorer. There you go.
All right. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I am the computer monitor is in the opposite direction from the speaker, but I think I talk loud enough that it doesn't make any difference.
This is a great speaker.
All right, I don't have to yell.
Auditorium. You don't have to yell. I think everybody can hear okay, right? If you can't, send me a little chat and I'll make sure that we speak up.
So we have a new look for our website, and this was motivated in part because we wanted to come into basically Cornell's recommendation for how your website should look, but also this particular website has responsive design. So if you're looking at it on a smartphone, it changes, if people know about that.
That's really awesome. Speaking of responsive design, if you're looking at it right now in WebEx, WebEx isn't quite as smart as responsive design. There's a little diagonal arrow in the top of your screen. So if you click on that, it will take over your full screen so that you can read all of the wonderful things that are on there as well. So
Yeah, so Fiona and I have been working on this, and we don't really actually know that much about websites, but we've had some good help with Greg Draver. So we were focused more on the content, and also making it clear that that our audience for this website are our county cooperative extension educators and the volunteers they work with, as well as other educators. Really, our target audience is not the general gardening public. So keep that in mind, that we really are trying to create a resource library. Fiona mentioned that some people weren't aware of the resources we have. So we're now thinking that this website is really our library of resources that we have fully developed and want to make sure you know are available. So it's really for you. So if you're looking for something here, if you're looking for something from us, there is this search at the top, search this site. You might try searching there first, but you know, Fiona and I and Marcia also are a quick email away. But know that you can go here and hopefully use the search, or we hope we have the created some navigational tools to allow you to access the program and materials that we have developed. You can see we have some program tools, some lessons that Fiona mentioned, as well as some information related to gardening. So when it comes to the gardening content, as you might know, there's lots of programs and departments around Cornell who are generating content that's relevant to gardening. So some of these pages you'll find really are a portal to, let's say, the entomology fact sheets or the pathology fact sheets. So we're trying to connect educators and volunteers with that information that maybe we don't maintain in-house, but that would be relevant. So I hope you take some time to explore that. And also, we have, of course, our county cooperative extension educators are really the primary link with our gardening community. And that's why we have you prominently displayed that you're the place to go to for questions. If you click on any of these other links, you'll learn more. I'm not going to go through this right now. I'll let you explore. But we link to our major programs, the Master Gardener Volunteer Program, as well as youth development. And then this old man here, he'll take you to garden education at Cornell. And that one, you know, connects us with our Cornell Botanic Garden, as well as some of the other programs throughout Cornell who have focused on some gardening programs. So I'll let you explore that on your own, but what I really wanted to point out was a couple other things. Not sure where to begin, and in this case, Fiona laid out a little path that different people might take. So again, you might use this as an educator or with your volunteers, as well as if by chance you have a teacher who contacts you and says, I want to know everything there is to know about gardening. I think a good place to start is send them here and start to explore some of the resources, and then come to you with more specific questions. So we hope that this will help people find those resources that we do have. And then we also have this link to for CCE staff. And you know, you don't need any password to get to there. Anybody can go there, but that's okay by us. I don't know that we have too many people who will pester us who aren't in CCE, and so they can learn about what we're up to. But hopefully, if you're aren't too familiar with us or wondering really what we spend our time doing, we try to lay out a little more about ways you can connect with us. As Fiona mentioned, we have some social media presence, not quite as much as the counties do, and we have some other resources that or avenues in which you can connect with us on a regular basis. So I would encourage you to go check out the website in general, including that particular stuff where we're targeting staff. And then I also want to point out, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of our webpage, we have a YouTube channel, we have some images on Flickr, and as she mentioned, Facebook, and then the National E-Extension also has resources. And I think, the one other thing, which I'm already here, is if you also go to the staff, CCE staff page, you'll find links to how to contact Marcia, myself, and Fiona right there. And I think that's all I want to share with you, and just encourage you to, I know a lot of people just go to Google and do a search, but if you take a moment and look at that and see if you can connect with some of our resources, or if you have questions for us.
This looks super.
It looks so good.
Yeah, so this was like a total revamp of the resources that you have.
Maybe a reorganization. Because basically from the feedback we got from your survey that people were having trouble finding the things we already have. We know we're not able to produce everything people need, but they should at least be able to find the things we do have.
Yeah. There you go. So I think the next slide in the presentation is actually a question, you know, just a pause to just ask what questions folks might have. So before we venture away from the website, maybe this is a good time to ask the audience if you have questions about resources, or are looking for, if there's something that you look for regularly and it's not, you know, super obvious right now where it might be, or questions that you might have about resources for the folks here, that would be great. So take a minute and add into the chat. And while people are chatting in, Lori, the one question that I had is just ask me a little bit about graphics. So if there's somebody who's running a Master Gardener volunteer program, are those visuals and graphics and JPEGs and those kinds of things, are those housed somewhere on here? Would they be on the Master Gardener volunteer page? Or
oh my gosh, you just asked the question that comes up a lot. And so you mean like if somebody needs pictures of people gardening,
right?
Sort of
or
thing.
The logo for Master Gardener volunteer.
Oh, okay. So not my responsibility.
Okay.
The logo. I think most people can just contact me to get this logo,
Okay.
and you can also just grab this logo.
Okay.
But as far as templates, I think go to the CCE staff page under communications. They have CCE templates.
Just for the Cornell Cooperative Extension logo. Right. Yes,
Right.
I was thinking about Master Gardener volunteers specifically, or gardening images.
Oh, we have a couple logos that people use. I actually don't think I have. I think you can just grab this one right off the site, and it won't be any better because it was just. We don't really have like a high quality logo.
Okay.
We have that logo and a rake. And the rake, I don't even have the original. So.
All right. Okay.
If you're just looking for logos.
Yeah. No, just, you know, thinking that might be a common question. I know in the other program areas, those are common kinds of questions.
One of those things I should mention is that what we're trying to do is we're offline, not in the public domain. We are trying to use Box to create resource library. And so I think that, did I mention it? I must mention it. We did this, but now I forget. So we have offline. Oh, right here. Yeah, I do mention it. In the program, about the program work team, so our Sustainable Landscapes Horticulture Program work team, one of our efforts that we're trying to do is create this horticulture resource sharing library. So previously it was all slide sets, which were no longer really functional, right? So we're trying to have a place where people can share maybe PowerPoint presentations, posters that they've created, flyers that they've created. And so in that resource library, which if you want access to it, you have to be a county cooperative extension educator. We're going to not allow volunteers in there quite yet. Then just send me a note at LJB7, and I'll let you take a look at it and, you know, be a part of that group. And in there we do have a folder that has some templates, and it will include the logo. So yeah, I do.
Okay, well, I'm just thinking that, you know, if I put myself in the shoes of an educator, these are the kind of questions, especially if you're thinking about social media and preparing things. A lot of times it's good to, if you have a photo, put a logo on top and put just a couple of words, you know, just a photo with a few words sometimes makes a huge impact in social media, whereas a lot of written blah, blah, blah doesn't, you know, won't grab the attention of the users. So.
And that's something I would say Lori has been really a champion on our team for that consistent presence. I mean, if you look at the website at how streamlined and clean it looks, and I know that you've really encouraged consistent use of certain PowerPoint images and letterhead, and so those are, and I know you're constantly updating Box, so those are available to folks.
Yeah, great.
And can I also plug a webinar that's going to happen tomorrow?
Yeah.
Tomorrow at 9:30, and I would be sending this out to county cooperative extension educators in horticulture that I know about. So if you're not one of those people that maybe get my regular emails, tomorrow morning, Jim from Mann Library, do you know his last name? I've forgotten his last name.
Morris Noer?
Yeah,
Okay.
Morris.
Noer.
He is our Mann Library extension person, and he is going to be, we're having him and just come and have a conversation with us about how we can access Mann Library resources. And one of the questions I'm putting to him tomorrow is about how we access images that we might use in our presentations, flyers, and stuff. So I want to have him share how we might access some of these resources that Mann Library has that will be valuable to us. So that's 9:30 tomorrow. If you don't have the WebEx address, send me a note. And we'll try to record it, and then once we record it, it will be posted on our YouTube channel, which you can access via the website.
Fantastic. So another question came in asking about the materials that were on the previous site and the site before that. So are there, did you cull any materials? I guess that's what I'm reading into that. Or are the resources just sort of reorganized?
No, the materials were anything that was old, which there was a lot, was culled, but knowing that some of the materials were not on our site. So it might have looked like they were on our site, but they weren't. They were actually entomology's fact sheets or pathology's fact sheets or Cornell waste management. So we actually, the previous site, that material might not have been on our site. So that it was a little complicated.
So if somebody's looking for something that they can't find that they still make use of, they should just reach out and ask you, right?
Yeah, that's the easiest thing. If there was something, and some of the addresses would have changed. These might still have it, but the addresses have changed.
Okay.
And we also tried to get rid of material that was dated.
All right, super.
Awesome. Great. Do you mind passing me the mouse, Lori? Thank you. I'd like to just take a few moments to talk about something I'm pretty excited about. So many of you might be familiar with one of our oldie but goodies. It was called Sowing, the Seeds of Success.
And that's S-O-W-I-N.
I know, it's a little bit of a mouthful, so sorry about that.
No, making fun of my spelling.
We have been working with the American Horticulture Society to sort of transform that into a PDF version, into one that is web-based and a little more interactive. I will say this is not 100% done yet. I am putting my finishing touches on it this week, but a lot of it is already up here on the website, and I just wanted to point it out for you. So this is the landing page. You just go right to Program Tools, and you'll see this is where you go if you are thinking of starting a gardening program, maybe at a school or with a youth group or any community-focused gardening program. This is where you want to go for the first steps. So if you go to the planning and organizing page, you'll see getting started, planning your design. So thinking about what elements are you really needing to fit the needs of your community. Effective youth engagement, how do you actually make those youth that you're working with feel empowered and make them feel like they have ownership of this project. Working with volunteers. We love our volunteers. We want to keep them. How to do that. And other ways to sustain the garden. So if you click on each of those, it will bring you to a page with some downloadable activities. I was able to work with, I like to call them garden gurus from around the country who provided some really great quotes and things that they've learned throughout the years working with youth in the garden setting. And we really tried to kind of look at this oldie but goodie piece with a new lens of diversity and how to really be inclusive in the garden setting. So I will let you sort of explore this piece on your own, but if you have any questions, please email me. This is Fiona talking. And like I said, I'm still adding a few things, so maybe check back in 2 weeks and it will all be there.
So another question came in, and this might be relevant to this piece or the website in general. And so the question is, a frequent frustration has been printing fact sheets for the public and being unable to do a clean copy without the sidebars. And I'm assuming that that means printing the, like when you go to print, it prints the page instead of printing the document. So if Jolene, if I'm not framing that correctly, you can kind of chime in there. But it's either food for thought, or maybe you can maybe have some other response to that.
Usually the ones I print are all downloadable, yeah. So I don't know if I have a great answer for you.
So unless she's meaning, like, for example, this content right here is not really, you can't really print this, right? And then, so no, you can't, this content wouldn't be easy to print and share with somebody. You would probably have to direct them to go to this website, if that's the question. So that's pretty, we have limited resources and there's only so much we can do. And so if you're thinking about some of the other stuff, like activities, you can see in their activities we have PDFs there. So sometimes we're thinking about, what our activities.
Yeah, so it certainly sounds like this accommodates that. And, and I mean, I think we've all run into that, right? You go to a website, find a great recipe or something, some activity, and you try to print it off and you get 50 pages instead of getting the one page with the recipe that you really want. So some sites have accommodated that either by adding PDFs or adding a printable version. So
she says she's talking about diagnostic information. So if you go to troubleshooting, here under troubleshooting, and again, diagnostic information, as I mentioned, is not really in horticulture. Diagnostic information is pathology in the insect diagnostic lab. And then you can see we have a bunch of fact sheets listed here. IPM has a lot of fact sheets. And then wildlife management has fact sheets, invasive species. All of these are really outside are the experts outside of our horticulture group. So we're relying on them to keep those fact sheets up to date.
But that's feedback that you could pass on to them, right? I mean,
yeah, and I'm sure they'll take it from you as well. And really, you should see, if you go to the plant, this takes you away from our site. You can see if you're looking for diagnostic stuff. And I'll give you a little, if we have time, I'll mention that under our healthy soil section, Cornell Waste Management Institute is actually going to be putting some more effort into organizing resources related to healthy soils and composting for us. So you'll see some changes, I think, in this section. It's a little weak right now. I think we just take you right to their site, and their site can be a little challenging to find stuff just about gardening, compost, and healthy soils, but we're going to be working on that this fall. So some changes will happen in that particular area. And again, that's not really in horticulture, it's a group outside of horticulture. So we're doing our best to sort of be a portal to other people.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for your fantastic questions. I'd like to just briefly talk a little bit about our future projects now that we've covered some of the things that we have been working on and shared those things.
Do you want to go back to slides?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, though. Lori, if you want to just talk a little bit about our upcoming vegetable variety trial gardens project.
Oops. Wow, that doesn't, I wonder why that's not rendering the picture.
We'll go in today and fix it.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know why the picture doesn't work.
Website always keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, this is not my forte. We rely on other people to help us. But there should be a picture there, and I'm not sure why it's not showing in this particular browser. So we have, in the past, we have done vegetable variety trial gardens, and really the motivation came from, for the vegetable variety trial garden, originated from our long-standing selected list of vegetable varieties for gardeners in New York, which Marcia had a long time ago, passed it to me, and then we're responsible for recommending varieties to gardeners, and it was largely based on researchers who were doing variety trials. But people don't do variety trials at Cornell anymore. So we changed it to vegetable varieties for gardeners and tried to grab information from gardeners submitted via online forums. And then we built on that. We asked counties, could you, in your demo gardens, start doing vegetable variety trials and reporting back how they went. So that was very popular, and we did it. We started it maybe 5 years ago, and then we had a little trouble with staffing, not having the resources to continue it, but it's coming back, and we know it was popular. We had at any given time 20 to 30 counties interested in trying varieties, and so we're going to be revising it this coming 2017 growing season. And part of the reason why we have the opportunity to do this is Steve Reiners, who is faculty in horticulture, actually the chair of the horticulture section. He teaches an organic gardening course, and his students are going to help us do plant starts. So look for some more information coming this winter about how your county could participate in that vegetable variety trial gardens and through us. Fiona and I will be organizing that and getting back in touch with you on that. Do you have anything else you wanted to add on that, Fiona?
I don't think so. I would like to use that as a springboard to talk about another statewide project that you could potentially be involved with, and this one is based on our Seed to Salad curricula. So Seed to Salad was created in partnership with the Ithaca Children's Garden. It's one of our favorite curriculum pieces, and it allows for a highly youth-directed interdisciplinary learning for a variety of ages. It's even in Spanish. I think that's really, really neat. So this spring, we plan to have a statewide initiative focused on Seed to Salad. We hope to be able to distribute seeds and hard copies of the activities to any educators who are interested. And we hope to highlight project photos and quotes and to hear about your programs as they are growing throughout the summer. I'm really excited. We have support from Johnny's Seed Company, who provided a donation of lettuce seeds for this project. So that's a great start. So keep your ears out for more information about Seed to Salad for the 2017 growing season.
And we'll also link that Seed to Salad probably within the vegetable variety trial garden. Yeah. So we're getting crazy about vegetables.
Yeah, you should too. Yeah, Seed to Salad, you can do it within the vegetable variety trial garden project, but then you can also do it if you just are interested in doing that project by itself. That's pretty cool. All right, next, would Marcia and Lori, would you guys like to talk a little bit about Seed to Supper?
Sure thing. So a very brief, if you're getting a little confused at this point, we'll just mention we have Sowing the Seeds of Success, we have Seed to Salad, and then we have Seed to Supper. And they're all so awesome that we know in a real short order you'll keep all three of them very distinct from one another, and yet they do overlap a little bit. The very brief story of how Seed to Supper came to be, many of you may recall Christine Haddicle, who worked in our program. She went on to get a congressional fellowship and then landed back in Oregon as the Seed to Supper coordinator for the Oregon Food Banks, which they do in partnership with Oregon State. We've been tracking that for a while, and last year started getting really excited about the possibility of introducing it in New York State. One of our wonderings about it is that it really focuses on Seed to Supper as a model of, it's not pretending that it's going to solve all of the world's hunger problems, but what it does recognize is that growing food on a limited budget also enables you to connect with others in community and to increase your confidence so that there are some other changes that come about in your life. We could talk about Seed to Supper all morning, but briefly I'll just mention a couple of distinct roles in it and then ask Lori to contribute because she is the New York State Seed to Supper coordinator. We recognize the huge potential for integrating more than just gardening into Seed to Supper. So where our program in New York State will be distinct is at the heartbeat of Seed to Supper is a 2-semester course sequence involving students. And they'll actually be leading community facilitation of Seed to Supper from campus. We've developed some components that go along with it from the, in addition to the Oregon curriculum, that include really lively videos, hands-on activities, and reflective questions that a team of us who met last November felt that these were really important components when you're working in community, so that it's truly a community endeavor with community members, not something imposed on community. We're really excited about the student piece, the student extension connection. It'll culminate in internships and other exciting opportunities, and feel as if this really does cement our relationship between students and cooperative extension in a very powerful way. So you'll be hearing a lot more about this over the coming year. Lori, what would you add to that from the perspective of statewide coordination of Seed to Supper?
One place where you can hear more about it will be at the fall in-service on campus, November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So we're going to do a two-hour session on the Seed to Supper program on day 2 in the afternoon. And for that fall in-service, you can come for just one day. So you can pick and choose that time. Or volunteers are also welcome to join this in-service, so you can send a team from your county to come. So at that would be a great time to learn more about the Seed to Supper. We will have some counties who have been trying some of we modified the curriculum from Oregon to be in line with our growing conditions in New York State. So we'll have that drafts of that available, and they will also, the few counties who have been trying it out will share some of their perspective on how it went in their counties. So that would be a great opportunity to learn more. I'll give you one little tidbit from one of the counties who's been trying it. We all have a lot of material maybe related to growing vegetables, but what she liked about this curriculum, that it was all in one place, it was in a book, it was easy to follow, and so it was basically ready to use for her. It includes a curriculum as well as some side presentations, and as Marcia mentioned, the students will be coming up with some activities, but will also enhance that.
So one question that came in is, actually there's a couple questions in now, but is Seed to Supper a youth, adult, or both program?
That's a really good question. One of the things I think that we'll be doing is working very closely with communities, with our cooperative extension partners, and they may take that in different directions depending on the location. The students will be leading community facilitation in Monroe, Onondaga, and Tioga, and they in turn have food bank partners. And I think that, I'm literally looking at Lori to see if she's nodding her head. I think that we would hesitate to impose a direction. It could go in a lot of different directions. I could see this being a very strong youth focus, a very strong adult focus. I think the key piece that we're looking for is making sure that we're working with our community partners so that this will be meeting their needs. I know that's a general response, but purposefully so. I also just really want to add, we're feeling a profound invigoration around this work. You know, the website is streamlined. We have an upcoming focus this coming year on vegetable varieties and seed to salad, this big new signature program. It feels like a very exciting time for our program.
And I would also add that there is, Oneida County is using Seed to Supper with, I think it's a youth employment program. And that's one thing with Seed to Supper, Oregon Food Bank is particularly targeting audiences who are on a limited budget. So if you're going to use the curriculum in New York, we are obligated to aim to recruit individuals to participate in the program who are on a limited budget. So though we have this curriculum, we do have to keep tabs on how it's being used. You can't charge people to participate in the program, and I think it's in our best interest to follow our memorandum of understanding that we work with you to understand how you're going to try to work with organizations and have a recruitment plan that targets individuals who are on a limited budget.
So thank you. Kim Fleming added the Ag In Service, the link for the Ag In Service, so you can kind of take a look at the agenda there. You know, there was another question that came in about so if somebody was really interested in Seed to Supper, would they, I heard you say one day, would that be appropriate to come out for one day, or would it be more than one day that they might come out for to kind of get an in-depth?
For the insert, we don't have necessarily an in-depth on Seed to Supper, though there is definitely interest in Western New York. There was big interest in Western New York. So if you're in Western New York, we might be doing something. But if you're in another part, contact me. Maybe we can do a more in-depth in your region with your with surrounding counties. And but for the fall in service, that is just going to be a 2-hour, and that would give you some background in it. But you can just contact me if you're thinking of more information on that.
Okay, awesome. Very good.
Were there any other questions?
That does it for now. Okay. Keep the questions coming, though. This makes it much more interesting, and to know that it's, you know, whatever is shared is really in the best interest of the audience there. So
thanks. So the next portion, we wanted to sort of share our favorite Cornell garden-based learning resources. And we are a little crunched for time. I'd like to leave, I don't know, 5 minutes at the very end for questions. So that leaves us 10 minutes, Marcia and Laura, to talk about our favorites. And would you mind going back to the PowerPoint, Celeste? And Marcia will start us off.
Yeah, it's you guys can kind of get started. And I will bring
Marcia will start us off by talking about one of the dig art pieces.
Thank you, and I'm going to ask my good friends in this room to like wave their arms at me if I end up talking too much, because I could talk about this all day. You know, we've talked about program delivery and evaluation toolkits, and I know that everybody is working so hard out there, principles and practices of garden-based learning, but sometimes it's also just nice to have a gateway project or something that pulls people in and helps them get excited about our work. And we really love Dig Art, cultivating creativity in the garden. Every single activity in Dig Art is really looking through an ecological lens. So we're promoting art activities in the garden that are engaging, that are science-based, that are ecologically friendly. And I just wanted to share one that I went hog wild over this summer, and that's concrete leaf casting. These are, what you're looking at are concrete leaf casts. Some of these are 1.5 feet long. These are rhubarb and hosta leaves, and it was very easy to do. There's a process as described on the website. We have some images to show you that just kind of outline. I've found this summer, we'd had some difficulty with our recipe, and I messed around with it this summer, really got it down using 3 parts sand, 1 part Portland cement. I did find that a good pour of concrete acrylic bond in the water that you're adding works really well. You're looking at the chalkboard right here. I did this in my first day of class in the Art of Horticulture this fall. You're mixing up the sand and the Portland cement until it gets to be about the consistency of cookie dough or cream cheese. If you get cake batter, you have added too much water. One of the things we've eliminated is the plastic. We no longer use that. But basically, you're taking a leaf with strong veins, you're flipping it upside down, and you're putting this concrete mix directly on the back of the leaf. Those little stones were an extra that the student added. You really don't need to have those. But basically, you have a good strong leaf like a hosta. You're putting the cement directly on the back of the leaf, and I find after about 24 hours you can peel away the leaf and you get the design. And then I've been painting them with some of my paints at home. It's not necessary. If you put a concrete sealant on it, you can leave these outside over the winter. Just a very satisfying activity, very horticultural, I mean, very powerful. And I find that nobody looks at this and says, I can't possibly do it. So we've done this with all ages, and they're really enjoyable. I'm giving them as gifts. My colleagues are looking at me saying, okay, that's about enough of the concrete leaves at this point. But just a lot of fun to do, and mixing in there with your other workshops so that you're keeping things lively.
Thank you, Marcia. I'm just blown away by those. They look magical. All right. So I'd like to talk a little bit about Youth Grow. Youth Grow is one of our online resources that's dedicated to helping youth in New York State to become food leaders in their food system communities. So young people can play multiple important roles in the cultivation of sustainable food systems, such as consumers, community leaders, and agents of change. So we actually did Youth Grow in this past career explorations here on campus. Marcia and I co-led the workshop. It was 3 days of a lot of fun. And as a result, we updated our Youth Grow curriculum. So we revised a few activities and added a few more too. So Where Do You Land is one of our newer revised activities. And I'll just sort of do it really quickly. And I'd like for you to pretend that you are in our group. So to set up, you set up 2 posters, one on one side of the room that says, I am confident about this, and the other on the opposite side of the room that says, I have no idea. And put them sort of across from each other so that the group can form a straight line between them. Then you can ask a variety of statements. And of course, these are all focused on the food system, but this could really be altered to anything that you're working with. So you could do this activity with a different focus if you needed to. So, all right, put your thinking caps on and pretend like you are in this room with us and you are trying to decide if you are confident about these statements or if you have no idea about these statements. So the first statement is, I have a pretty decent handle on what food systems mean. So you would either walk to one side of the room or the other. Now you can imagine that this is a pretty exciting activity and very invigorating activity to do with youth, and it gets everybody sort of up and moving and gets everybody thinking and really asking themselves these questions that maybe they've never thought about before. So let's do another one. I understand the relationship between gardening and healthy food. So which side of the room would you go to? Or maybe you're in the middle. I know what the term local foods means. Which side would you go to? And so we have a really long list of questions available on our website that you could ask the youth group that you're working with. I won't go through all of them in the interest of time, but let's just do sort of a debrief and practice a debrief that you would do with your group. So did you find any of these questions difficult to answer? Maybe there was a term that they didn't understand, or maybe they wanted to answer one way, but truthfully really knew that they were on the other side of the room. Did any questions spark a range of confusion? And how might we learn more? I think this is one of the most important questions as a result of this activity is, all right, we know what we don't know, and how can we conquer what we don't know and learn more about it and move forward to become leaders in our food system? Yeah?
One of the things that we really looked at when we were revising Youth Grow is in these times of sometimes negative public discourse, we really wanted to emphasize a new shift in Youth Grow toward cooperation, toward talking about what we might not be familiar with, and helping one another grow in the context of knowledge instead of almost framing it competitively. Mm-hmm. And I think that they all really kind of pitched in to help move each other along the lines in terms of some of these activities.
Definitely. And I was going to sort of do a quick activity for discovering the food system, but in the interest of time, I'm going to just tell you a little bit about it and really encourage you to go on our website and learn more about it. So Discovering Our Food System is a community-based exploration of the people and processes that shape our food system. It helps us better understand what the food system means, how we are a part of it and how we can make it a more positive place. So the activity that I like the most out of discovering our food system is called Last Night's Dinner, and it really encourages the group to think deeply about what they ate for dinner last night and to think about, all right, where did each ingredient come from? How far did it have to travel, who grew this ingredient? And then at the very end, they add up all of the miles that their food traveled to get to their plate. And I think it is incredibly powerful to see how far a lot of our food has to travel. It's powerful to sort of realize, wow, I don't really know much about where that ingredient came from. Maybe I should learn more about where it came from. So this is one of my favorites. I really suggest that you take a look at it. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Lori.
Yeah, so I'm back again. And so as you probably heard me earlier talk about vegetable varieties for gardeners and vegetable variety trial gardens and seed salad, all of the seed supper, all of that. So that was the program I was going to highlight, but I really think I talked a lot about that, so I'm going to not go into any more excitement over that, and feel free to call me or catch me sometime, and I will gladly talk for a long time with you about it. And I do want to look at the questions we have in the chat. There was one question, I think this was follow-up to the Seed to Supper, was asked about time. Has Oregon tied in horticulture career exploration for youth and families participating in Seed to Supper? I don't actually know if they have, but I do think that that could be an interesting angle that, again, in New York State, we can pursue various variations on that. So if that's something of interest, we should talk some more about, you know, what you're imagining that to be. And I suspect that other counties might be also thinking about that older youth audience and families in general. So that's a very good question. And Marcia will address the hypertufa one.
So easy and so brief. A question about hypertufa, it's just a different mix. I mean, it's sand and Portland cement, and hypertufa is Portland cement, something like vermiculite and peat moss. So it's just a different purpose, different mix. And yeah, there's no reason why some of these activities couldn't be highlighted at the state fair.
And then there's a 4-H Educators Conference. Is this, do you know about, maybe you could go on that.
Yes. Hi, Nancy. Yeah, I will be there. I will be presenting a poster, and my plan is to just kind of provide a lot of different resources that our program offers for educators. So you can find more information about all of that during the poster session. And I'll also be presenting a workshop. So yeah, I'll see you there.
So your workshop will be on garden-based learning activities in general.
Yep.
So I'm sure Fiona would be glad for you to tell her what activities you want to explore in more detail.
Good idea, Nancy. Thank you. But any other questions out there? Any other burning questions? These guys, of course, are very available. And always helpful if you have questions and want to follow up with them directly. Their email addresses are right there. Anything else that you guys want to share?
I think we wanted to close with just sort of an attempt to clear things up on who do you contact for what, because I know that can be a little confusing. So on the CCE staff page of the website, you can definitely go there and see our sort of little bios on our interests and our backgrounds and who you would contact for what, but we'll quickly just talk about it too. So this is Fiona talking. My focus is mostly on youth and community development in the garden setting. I am the person to contact if you are interested in hosting a regional garden-based learning workshop. So please contact me if you are thinking about this upcoming year and you'd like to host a garden-based learning workshop in your region, and I'm happy to work something out with you. And I'm also happy to answer any general garden-based learning questions, any questions about curriculum or program development or integrating these activities into your current programs.
And this is Lori Brewer, and you should know that if you email any one of us, we can figure out who to send it to. We're good at passing the buck. And so for me, I focus on the adult and family education aspect of our Cornell Garden-Based Learning Program. And so that includes Master Gardener Volunteer Program, anything related to, some of that stuff I also pass over to CCE administration, but any questions related to that, you can direct those towards me. And also, I would emphasize that Fiona mentioned about doing face-to-face preparations or workshops. I think we really do appreciate those, and we mostly appreciate if you can coordinate with your surrounding counties so that we can have a critical mass there and people from the regions, because we are finding that, you know, sometimes your best assets are the people in the surrounding counties around you, so connecting with them. So we like to foster opportunities for you to connect with each other as much as with ourselves.
And this is Marcia, and I provide leadership for the youth educator portion of our program. I also do quite a bit of distance learning, distance teaching 2 suites of courses a couple of times a year. And increasingly, I'm spending a lot of time connecting with Office of Engaged Initiatives, engaging students in this work, and certainly in the new Seed to Supper program or project, a 2-semester course sequence that will really intentionally link students with extension. Really excited about that.
Awesome. Very good. Hey, so one question that I forgot to ask earlier, but I know that it was in there on your website in terms of how educators can be engaged with you, and that's around program work teams. So if somebody was interested in getting involved but not able to attend meetings and really be, you know, super actively engaged, is there a way for them to kind of tune in to what your program work team or teams are doing?
Yeah, so I think I'm the only one that has the good fortune to co-chair a program work team, and so we have the Sustainable Horticulture program work team. That work team covers everything from, well, we try, it's hard, everything related to horticulture, which includes youth all the way through adults in the gardening arena, as well as maybe not emphasizing commercial quite as much as we have in the past. But so that program work team, like I mentioned, we have a webinar tomorrow. That's actually the program work team is hosting that webinar, and we host a monthly webinar every month on, what's tomorrow, Thursday, the second Thursday? So the second Thursday of every month, we host these webinars, and they're meant to be conversations, much like some part of our conversation today. And we'd like to invite somebody to come and share. And so we're open to suggestions about who you want to hear more from. Maybe you want to hear more from Fiona, and we could have Fiona on one month, and you can, you know, press her to share more about all of these curriculum and activities we have available. So that's one way, and that is listed if you go to CCE staff. That program work team's listed there.
So if somebody wanted to be involved in that, would they just contact you?
Oh yeah, this program work team's really fluid. Everybody's invited, and everybody can be a member. And just contact me, and you can see, if you go to that CCE staff portion of our webpage, you'll see a little more about that. And we also have some listservs that maybe Fiona can talk about.
And I just want to put a plug for the 4-H Youth Development Civic Engagement Program Work Team. That's the one that I've been most active with, and I think Fiona is kind of floating among some right now, because there are some others that touch on various youth orientation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we do have a few listservs. Forgive me that I don't remember.
But if you go to that
the sequence of the wording, I always have to look it up every time I email them. But one of them is for youth educators in cooperative extension, and one of them is the New York State garden-based education listserv. So if you go on our website, on the staff page, you'll see them listed.
I saw all those opportunities listed there, so I just wanted to highlight those. Because
we also have a Facebook that is pretty active, and that's a great way, you know, if you are, have a lot of other things on your plate, but you're still interested in what's going on, you can tune in there every week.
And then what I would also suggest, if you're on a program work team but your program work team has been talking about connections with gardening. We would love to hear about your program work team in ways that we can connect across program work teams, because we know there's a lot out there and a lot of interest in gardening. It would be nice if we were crossing over in those interests and working together. And, as I mentioned, Seed to Suffer in Western New York, I actually talked to several nutrition folks out there with Sharon Bachman's help, and so it was really helpful to sort of learn how different sections of cooperative extension work, and then how we can bring ourselves together so we can be more efficient in our work.
Well, awesome. I want to just thank you guys again for being here and for sharing. I think this is wonderful. And just as a closing, just to wrap up, a reminder to folks of where you can find the recording of today's session, as well as a recording of any other sessions and the upcoming list of Campus County Connection webinars. So what you see on your screen right now is the staff site for Cornell Cooperative Extension, staff.cce.cornell.edu. I always say it, and I'll say it again, if you don't have it as a page in your browser home pages, I would encourage you to do that. Our staff is, you are important to all of us. So go to the staff site, go to units, click on the bottom one, organizational development and accountability, the longest and last but not the least. Under the tools of the trade, you'll see Campus County Connections with links to how to get involved in program work teams and so on and so forth. And on the bottom is our list of upcoming webinars. They're posted on the front of the staff site as well, but the collection of the Campus County Connection webinars there. And on the left-hand side, kind of organized by big program buckets, you will see all of our former webinars that we've hosted, and on each of them you'll find the recording as well as any resources that are posted there. So thank you again.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
thank you for your attention today.
And any questions that may have come in the last few minutes, we will respond to you individually. Thanks so very much. Can we get those? Okay. Yeah, I will send those to you afterwards.